Okay, so you're thinking of breaking no contact. This is going to be a conversation between you, yes, you listening right now, and me. It's not going to be Sally. It's not going to be go visit my website. You already know what to do if you want that. Let's just calm down for a second and have a talk about why this is a bad idea. So look, if you're here at this place where you're thinking about breaking no contact, I'm willing to bet that your anxiety at this moment is pretty high. Maybe you saw something just now you didn't want to see. Maybe you found out your ex is dating. Maybe you found out nothing at all, but you've just kind of been sitting home and letting your anxiety fester and build and turn into this thing where if I don't do it, then I'm not going to have a chance in the future with them. Sure, I get that. You're not crazy. That's a legitimate fear. But look, sometimes we do things a certain way. And the reason that we do things that certain way is because, hopefully, we've found over time that it is the best and most efficient way to do it. So here is the truth. There's a chance, however small, that breaking no contact might work. There it is. It could work. Now, if it does work, that kind of just tells me that your ex was probably going to reach out at some point anyway. Probably tells me that they were always receptive to hearing from you, and maybe they themselves were going to reach out at some point. We don't know. We can't know. So what we can do is do what is the most logical in this situation. Now, if your ex has broken up with you, they walked away from you. They told you, sorry, you're not good enough. I don't want you. And in that moment, think of what you would do if you were in that situation where you were telling somebody, I'd rather not have you in my life. I'd rather not continue our relationship. It doesn't mean they hate you. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. But what it does mean is that at this moment you're being told this piece of information. They don't want to be with you. There could be 100 reasons why. And maybe those reasons have nothing to do with you. Maybe work got too stressful and life was bearing down on them too heavily and the coronavirus and all these different things, whatever. At this moment, they don't want to be with you. So they're expressing a desire and saying, this is how I currently feel. And your first instinct, because they're expressing a desire that goes counter to what you want, right? You want to stay together, and you're thinking that this is your moment to fight for them. Except they're not receptive to that. They're not fighting for you. And that hurts. And I'm not trying to make that not hurt. What I'm trying to do is talk you down from the proverbial ledge that you're thinking about crossing here. Because if you reach out to your ex during a time where they have told you, look, I don't want to be with you right now. And your first reaction is, oh, well, okay, but how about we just work this out? Or whatever you're planning on sending them. Probably something like that. Maybe it's just updating them on your counseling or the gym habits that you formed, whatever. But what they'll take away from it, even if you just wanted to catch up as friends, 9 times out of 10, what they'll take away from it is, so you're trying to report how well you're doing and you want me back. And maybe you truly didn't mean it that way, but that's how they'll take it most of the time. So what do you do when you feel like this? When you think breaking no contact is just like you're 1 minute away from picking up that phone and sending that message or placing that phone call? Well, let's look at what's going to happen if you do that. You know, and I know, the second you hit send, the second you hit call and you hear a dial tone, you are going to completely regret that you did that. 100%. It is going to take whatever anxiety you feel right now and make it 100 times worse. It's just not worth it. And what's more is what you're probably expecting to happen, right? Because right now, remember, you're emotional. You have an idea in your head of what you want to happen. And maybe it'll happen, but it probably won't. We have to understand that in order to get an old flame back into our life, an old partner, an ex, whatever, We don't want to recreate the old relationship that failed, right? We want a new relationship based on mutual respect, mutual attraction. But let me just focus on the respect word for a second. If your ex broke up with you and wants you back, and then does not reach out to see how you're doing, does not reach out to see how you are, that means they do not respect you. Because if I respect someone, I won't do things like that to them. I don't do things that, at least knowingly, injure them further. I try my best not to lie. I try my best to keep everybody on the same page, because that's what respect is about. And if I haven't kept them on the same page, it probably means I haven't quite figured out what page I'm on. But this isn't talking about that. This is saying your ex knows exactly what they want. They know they want to be back with you. And they broke up with you. Well, in the interest of fairness and respect, shouldn't it be that if they want you back and they ended the relationship, they come back to you? Look, it's coronavirus right now. There's quarantine. Things aren't like they used to be. You can't just go out freely and meet people anymore. Many of your exes are coming back because they're lonely. Many of them. And for many of you, if you get your ex back, and they're giving you the song and dance that everything's changed, for the first couple of months, I bet things will be amazing. But have they really stood the test of time? Had they really made the changes, and have you really made the changes that guarantee a successful reunion? And that's why we talk so much about not going back to the old relationship. That's why you hear so many things like an ex is an ex for a reason. It's not because there's just this cynicism surrounding getting back with an ex, although, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it usually fails. So what's the determining factor guaranteeing its success? Well, have you worked on yourself? Have you truly resolved the original problem? Have they truly resolved the original problem? And for most of the cases, no. The original problem hasn't been resolved. So, what does this have to do with breaking no contact or reaching out to an ex? Well, think of this. If they broke up with you, and they walked away from you, and you're the one chasing after them and reaching out, breaking no contact for them, isn't this example of a problem that hasn't been solved? Part of the responsibility of a healthy relationship is I own my shit, you own your shit, and we own the shit that we create together, and we make it better. So, if they walked away from you when they could have stayed, and they could have worked things out, and they could have sought counseling, and I get it, sometimes the dumpy is beyond help, I get it. Sometimes the dumper is beyond help. Some relationships are supposed to end, and some relationships are supposed to stay ended. But loneliness and the heart and remembering the good times get the best of us sometimes. But I guess what I'm asking you to really consider is, if you had to reach back out to your ex to get them back, even though they walked away from you, what does that say about their level of value for you? Because if I want an ex back, it means I value them. It means that my life was worse off without them in it, at least romantically. And so, shouldn't this be a rite of passage, a payment that they have to make? A simple acknowledgement that I messed up and I shouldn't have done that. And I'm sorry, and I'm coming back to make it right. And hopefully, they're not just telling you what you want to hear. Because unfortunately, exes sometimes fool themselves into how they missed you when really they were just lonely. And obviously, that's where your boundaries come in. Don't take it from me. Hold boundaries and see if they meet your boundaries. See if the old behavior starts to creep its way back in after 3-4 months of dating. See what happens. But the point is, at the end of the day, knowing your worth. Because if you reach back out to an ex who dumped you, who could have stayed, who could have fixed things with you, who could have sought counseling, what does that say about their level of respect for you? And yeah, I get it, guys. You want your ex back. I get it. I really do. But at what point do you mourn the loss of yourself? And that's not to say you can't walk and chew gum, right? That's not to say you can't work on yourself and still want your ex back. Yeah, both things are possible, for sure. But part of working on yourself is re-expanding your world, because your world became smaller when you were with them. You focused on less. You paid less attention to less people. Your world became more and more about them. Have you worked on that part of yourself? Because if you have, and if you've truly come to respect and love yourself, you understand that you deserve more than they gave you. You understand that you deserve more than they delivered. And the least they could do to acknowledge that is a goddamn phone call. So put the phone down and pick your head up. You deserve better.